Good morning, ma'am. I am Lori Jane Girombinas, and this is my case study analysis for nutritional status assessment, intervention, monitoring, and evaluation of Rombinas household. A normal nutritional status is managed through balanced food consumption and normal utilization of nutrients. And there are several ways of assessing nutritional status, including anthropometric measurements, food intake, as well as Household Dietary Diversity Score or HDDS, which were used in this study. The core elements of anthropometry are height, weight, body mass index or BMI, and body circumferences, such as in waist, hip, and limbs. These measurements are important because they represent diagnostic criteria for obesity, which significantly increases the risk for conditions such as cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, and more. Additionally, anthropometric measurements can be used as a baseline for physical fitness and to measure the progress of fitness. For the objectives, generally, this study aims to assess the nutritional status of three selected members of Rumbina's family in Poblacion 1, Banisilan, North Cotabato over the course of 2 months or 8 weeks. Specifically, this study aims to determine the nutritional status of each family member. Next is to assess the nutritional status of each family member through body mass index or BMI and waist circumference and waist to hip ratio. Lastly is to plan, calculate, modify, and evaluate a regular diet for each of the family member. For nutrition interventions, the goal for Mr. Sampson is to encourage the client to have a healthy and right proportions of food intake per meal. For actions or strategies to achieve that goal, first is to create a meal plan with daily 2,420 calories based from the TER as recommended by the PDRI 2018. Next is to educate the client about the proper proportions of foods per meal and to inform the client about the consequences of following the meal plan. For nutrition counseling, schedule the client for a weekly motivational interviewing and for sessions tackling goal setting, self-monitoring, and stress management and stimulus control. For Mrs. Maria, the first goal is to induce weight loss of 7% or 4 kilograms of the current weight over the maximum course of 4 months or 8 weeks by decreasing daily calorie intake of 500 calorie deficit and consequently reduce the BMI to 28 kilogram per meter squared. The actions or strategies made was to create a meal plan with a daily 500 calorie deficit based from the TER. Next is to educate the client about the proper proportions of foods per meal and to inform the client about the consequences of following the meal plan. For nutrition counseling, schedule the client for a weekly motivational interviewing and for sessions tackling goal setting, self monitoring, stress management, and stimulus control. The second goal is to encourage the client to have at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity per week. A nutrition counseling was made by scheduling the client for a weekly motivational interviewing and for sessions tackling goal setting and self monitoring for physical activity. Now, for Miss Lori, the goal is to encourage the client to have a healthy and right proportions of food intake per meal. The action or strategy was made by creating a meal plan with daily 1,930 calorie based from the TER as recommended by the PDRI 2018. Next is to educate the client about the proper proportions of foods per meal and to inform the client about the consequences of following the meal plan. For nutrition counseling, The same with Mr. Samson and Mrs. Marie, as mentioned earlier, is to schedule the client for a weekly motivational interviewing and for sessions tackling goal setting, self monitoring, stress management, and stimulus control. Now, here are for the results of the study. The results show, as you can see in the table, that all three of the clients have lost a significant amount of weight and changes on their waist circumference and waist to hip ratio. The main intervention focused on long-term maintenance of normal nutritional status of the clients. Mr. Sampson lost 2 kilograms at the end of 8 weeks, while Miss Lori has lost 1.5 kilograms and Mrs. Maria has lost 4 kilograms. Both Samson and Lori have normal BMI, thus, the main goal for them does not focus on weight loss. That is why only a small percentage or amount of weight loss or weight deficit is needed. Maria, on the other hand, has achieved the nutrition goal, of which is to have a weight loss of 4 kilograms over the course of 2 months, or that's 8 weeks, having 0.5 kilogram weight deficit every week. Now, the nutrition counseling played a very important or a very big role in achieving these goals for the clients. A constant motivation for an assurance that they can be successful in so doing by following the set interventions and mindfully monitoring their progress meant a lot to get these results. Furthermore, the meal plan or the sample meal plan that was created was a general meal plan for a week, and they are just the same in each. The food intake is just the same with each client, but they just differ on the amount of foods taken, which is based on the food plan that was created for the intervention of the study in for the intervention of the clients in this study. Now, for the conclusion, generally, all of the three clients have achieved the nutrition goals in line with the nutrition interventions. Both Samson and Lori have maintained the normal nutrition status with careful monitoring of food intake. Although Maria is still considered as overweight based on the result of her BMI, because the interventions is only for 2 months or 8 weeks, but what matters is the success of the intervention that was implemented to improve her nutritional status, and it was successful. By strictly following the food plan and implementing appropriate interventions for a specific problem of the client, such as weight loss for an overweight person, Mrs. Maria, as an example in this case study, it is crucial to also provide counseling to keep the progress going and to motivate him or her to achieve the goal that was set in the intervention. That's all for my presentation, ma'am, and these are the references. Thank you for listening, ma'am, and God bless.